Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tales, the place you'll find stories and fanfictions written and read to you by a host, me, Tai Tiger. Usually, anyway, today we're diving back into our collaborations with Cosplay Dude 637, and I've been importing his stories from Cosplay Dude 637's podcast called Storytime with Cosplay Dude 637. See, Storytime with Cosplay Dude 637 is a podcast where he hosts some of his fanfictions and stories, where he, has written them and read them to you guys. Well, over the last couple months, he's been diversing the podcast into their own separate places. His Power Ranger and Kamen Rider stories went to Power Rangers Universe 19. His Order, his original story, had his own podcast. Well, then we're left with a couple of stories that don't exactly need their own place, but he didn't know where to put them, as he doesn't exactly know what he wants to do with Storytime right now. So I told him he could put them on Tiger Tales. So that's exactly what you're going to be listening to here. Today's storyline is Shadowhunters, Blood Ties, and it's a very good story. This has been imported from the podcast, but as soon as we're done catching up, the story itself will continue on Tiger Tales. So make sure that you check out the rest of Cosplay Dude 637's other work, but more about that in the outro. Now let's dive in. Shadowhunters, Blood Ties. Chapter 2. It begins.
Magnus reads the letter again. Hello, Magnus Bane. I know you don't know me, but I know of you. Oh, too well. This is my way of reaching out and saying, I am coming. Keep your loved ones close, for I am coming. Sinra. Magnus looks at the words. What is this? But as soon as the words left his mouth, there was a huge crash and shattering glass. Magnus darted out of his office and into the living room, where he finds Max was standing next to the fireplace, and Raphael was over by a glass bowl. It was in hundreds of pieces. Magnus sighs and rubs his temples. I thought they were under attack. Okay, all I need to do is just breathe. Magnus thinks and wiggles his fingers. As blue flames shoot out, the broom and dustpan start to clean the glass. Fantasia! Max cries out with joy. After a few hours, Alec had not returned, and Magnus began to get worried. He had texted both Clary and Jace 5 times. They had both sent back, he should be fine, and stop texting. After putting the boys to bed, he began to pace by the front door. Minutes turned into hours. Okay, that's it, Magnus says and starts to move his fingers. Blue flames shoot out as he starts to mutter a spell. He closes his eyes, and as the blue flames swirl around him, his eyes fly open and terror comes over his face. He quickly picks up the cell phone and calls Jace. Hello, Magnus. Jace answers with a sleepy sarcasm. Don't you dare, Jace Herondale. Alec is still missing, and it's 4 a.m., Magnus demands. He can hear Clary ask who it is. Then he hears some rustling. He assumed it was Jace getting out of bed. There is a click of a door closing. Okay, what's going on? Alec was going to meet with Maya and Lily, right? Jace asks with a yawn. Yes, and that was 6 hours ago. I just tried a locating spell and I cannot find him anywhere, Magnus explained. Okay, but it's not like Alec has not been out all night before, Jace responds. Jace, I know you think I am being paranoid. But damn it, I know something is wrong, Magnus shouts into the phone. Okay, I'll wake up the newbies and the others and we'll start a search, Jace says. Within 30 minutes, everyone in the Institute was dressed in gear and were in the war room, getting orders. Magnus had portaled there after dropping the boys off with Maris Lightwood. Okay, and we're 100% sure my brother is not just still in the meeting with Maya and Lily, Izzy asks, stretching. Her electrum whip bracelet glinted in the light in the room as she stretched. Isabel, I have done the tracking spell now. Once for each Once for each member of the Alliance, Magnus says. Okay, and what'd you find out? A very sleepy Simon yawns. Nothing. I can't find any of them, Magnus replies. That means they're dead, Mikhail asks. No, not at all. It just means they could be somewhere that is magically shielded, Angelique explained. Looking a bit shocked that he did not have to explain, Magnus just nods. She is right. But I know every magic in this city, and I know every warlock in this city. That's been here, Ruthie says, looking at everyone through sleepy eyes. Everyone looks over at her in wonderment. What's that now, Ruthie? Clary asks. It was something Miss Raven said before we headed here, Ruthie replied. Who? Jace asked, looking at the young Shadowhunters. It was our warlock teacher, Raven Deza, Xander says through his coffee cup. By the angel, I have missed coffee. I know, right? What's up with the Academy not having good coffee? Simon retorts. Clary clears her throat. Oh, yeah, sorry, not the time, Simon adds. Anyways, what did Raven say? Magnus asks, rolling his cat eyes at Simon. Oh, she noticed an influx of magic in New York. Someone new must be in town, I think is what she said, Ruthie says, biting into a donut. Just then, bells ring out all over the Institute. What is that? Ruthie shouts, spitting out her donut. Jace and Clary get to their feet and leave the war room. The four teens look over at Simon and Izzy. It's the Institute doorbell, Simon states. Clary and Jace make their way to the front door. When they were halfway there, the bells ring again. Okay, we're coming, Jace yells. Then there comes banging on the door. Help! Rippled out from the other side of the door. Jace had a faint recognition of the voice. Was that Kit? Clary asked, picking the pace up to the door. It was Kit's voice. Kit Herondale was the lost cousin of Jace and the only other living relative. When Jace and Clary swung the door open to find Ty Blackthorn and Kit Herondale holding up a blood-covered Alec Lightwood. I think this one belongs to you guys, Ty says in a bland voice.
This story was written and read to you by Cosplay Dude 637.
This podcast is a production of the Three Ranger Bros Studios, in association with Zio to Hero, the podcast.
And there we have it, guys. Thank you very much for listening to this story. If you've enjoyed this story, then you might want to check out all of my Tiger Tales channels. I'm going to give you a quick rundown. There's Tiger Tales, the first and the original. This is a place where you'll find stories and fanfictions diving into all sorts of fandoms, including Power Rangers, Pokemon, The Walking Dead, Marvel, DC, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and so much more. Tiger Tales The Lost Stories follows the same suit, but all the stories on that channel are in the first person perspective. Then there's Tiger Tales Game Over, a channel where all of the storylines are related to video games in some way or another. Then we have Tiger Tales X, where I write official crossovers that aren't needed but are very wanted, and crossovers I thought might work. Then, of course, we have Tiger Tales Mysterious Origins. This is the YouTube channel dedicated to my own original stories. All the stories on this channel are original and my own, and it also answers questions on certain characters throughout my stories, like William Cranston, Mr. Pocket, and Ace from the Color Matrix. If you've enjoyed these storylines, then please make sure you check out the following podcasts. Storytime with Cosplay Dude 637, Power Rangers Universe 19, Sailor Moon E, and The Order. And make sure you check out 2 YouTube channels, Nostalgia Time and the One Piece audio drama. They are all written and read to you and edited by Cosplay Dude 637, my Parabatai and best friend. Then make sure you check out the podcast Nerds Through Comics, which is directed by Mark, the Red Hornet Ranger. This is where he adapts comic books into audio dramas and also uploads his own original Power Ranger storylines. We are the Three Ranger Bros Studios, a collaborative project, and we are all voice actors and helpers of each other's stuff, so make sure you go check us out. We're in association with the Zero to Hero podcast, so a huge shout out to Billy and Jim, the co-hosts, and of course the podcast and the community that they lead. If we're shouting out podcasts, I have to shout out Jared, the host of If You Give a Damn podcast. Make sure you check it out because he interviews some fantastic guests, from wrestlers to voice actors and the such. And of course, if we're talking podcasts, I have to mention my own, the Tiger Nexus podcast, where I interview content creators and geeks alike. A huge shout out to all my supporters and followers, my voice actors, the people who co-write my chapters, and the sorts. So huge thank you, and of course, a big shout out to A-Crown. Specifically him, because he helps me a lot with some of my stories, specifically the Color Matrix and the chapters that go on Telltale's Game Over. Thank you very much guys for listening. Now don't forget to subscribe to the channels, like the videos, and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. With that being said, I shall see you guys in the next one.
That before we can...
Don't touch my Pringles.